I think the number one use case that's universal for the entire DeFi space is the ability to establish a decentralized identity and build reputation with that identity and use that in a global marketplace. That's like the skeleton key for a lot of derivative things that you enable. So for example, if you talk about credit only works if you know who you're lending to. They have to have some notion of reputation, and normally we have third-party credit scorers and like Equifax and all these other, it doesn't work very well. Okay, so that's one, is how do you construct identity, build reputation, grow reputation, and so forth. Then when you move beyond that, I think smart contracts are the only real way to create a trustless stablecoin. So an algorithmic stablecoin. We've written a beautiful paper called DeJet, and we're implementing that paper, and we'll talk about it at the conference here in just a few weeks. But basically the idea is that you take something that's volatile, like a cryptocurrency, a basket of those things, one or more, and there's some magic, you turn the crank, and it creates another asset, and that asset is stable or semi-stable. That's essential for building an economy. You need price predictability with your unit of account in order for it to be an effective means of exchange and a store of value. That is enabled by smart contracts, and there's already been enormous progress prototypically with things like MakerDAO and so forth, and we're just refining and iterating that, but we're doing it at the speed of entrepreneurship, not the speed of central banks. So that's great. So that second use case is so powerful. Third, I think when you start looking at new economies, new ways of doing business, fractionalized ownership of everything, liquidity with everything, the ability to shrink down any entity. So we normally think of an IPO, all $500 million entity, billion-dollar entity. You do an IPO for a $10 million entity. Just today, I saw that George Church announced a new company called Colossal, and they're trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. They're raising $15 million. Now, normally, go to venture capitalists, you do this whole thing. Or now today, you can just sell like woolly mammoth NFTs because it's a really fucking cool idea. And then some of you wake up and you have $15 million, money ready to go. And wow, so all new kinds of ways to do project financing that are distinctly different and pay royalties and guarantees that are distinctly different and fundamentally change the relationship of the funder and fundee. Even sovereigns, when you talk about sovereign bonds, let's say you're an African country, you have a lot of diaspora and you want to raise some money to build infrastructure. Well, right now you have to go to Wall Street and you have bad credit ratings and all these other things. What if you do a primary issuance direct to the citizens of your country who live abroad and have them buy $20, $30 of debt each? And if there's several, like the Philippines, tens of millions that live abroad, you could be every year with these types of instruments raising hundreds of millions of dollars and paying the coupon, settling them out. Yeah, right. Well, there you go. But it's sovereign debt. At least there's a hope you get paid back for this stuff. So these types of things, the enablement of liquidity at the small all the way up to sovereign scale with completely new ways of raising money, I think that's the third thing that's extremely exciting to me. And I think that then you look into derivative things of organizational transformation. So we keep saying we're going to run blockchains without a company. Okay, well, that's kind of a collection of protocols and human processes, and it's a product and all these other things. Well, if you can do that, why can't you do a company that way and get rid of the CEO, get rid of the C-suite, and get rid of the board of directors, and actually have a bottom-up company, almost like what a co-op is trying to do, right? But now we can do that on a blockchain. So there's going to be, in my view, 3 to 5 years, and already in Wyoming, they passed the DAO law. So there's already legislative progress in this direction, but an evaporation of centralized control of institutions and centralized curation and running of institutions. And I think the fifth thing is transparency. I'm getting damn tired of the government telling me I need to pay more taxes, and then they say at the same breath, we don't owe you anything. We don't owe you any transparency about how we spend the money, what we do with the money. So I said, let me get this straight. You guys lose $85 billion worth of military hardware in Afghanistan to the Taliban, and then you lose all the receipts and you can't even tell us what you've lost there. Conveniently lose these things. Like stuff like that. It just makes me sick. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. There's no oversight. There are these bodies like the Government Accountability Office and FOIA and things. All that shit should be on a blockchain. All of that should be publicly accessible. It should be immutable. It should be time-stamped, auditable, so that we can actually get some transparency on how our money is being used. Where I see that, yes, and I think charities are going to be the first use case for that, 501c3 type things, but then you can gradually grow that to the organization, you gradually grow that to the government. So I think those are the 5 use cases that I'm most excited for in the next 3 to 5 years, and we'll get there.